Hey, Brian from SnakeBytes here. You guys might not know this, but I have a fear of spiders. In this show, I'm going to be surrounded by them. You're watching SnakeBytes. I'm here at Michigan Arachnid Breeders, and I'm surrounded by thousands of tarantulas. I can honestly say a couple years ago, there's no way I would be holding an animal like this pink-toed tarantula just a couple years ago. I want to start by talking about where tarantula actually came from. It was a southern town in Italy called Taranto that actually had an outbreak of disease that they thought that was caused by a spider, and the only way they felt there was a cure was to do a dance that was called the tarantilla, and of course that's where tarantula derived from. Now ironically enough, they're not tarantulas at all. These guys are all considered bird-eating spiders, and as you can see, they're really amazing animals. What was the very first spider that Brian ever handled? A. Huntsman, B. Rose-haired tarantula, or C. Mexican red knee? Go ahead and answer down below in the comments and check back later in the show to see if you had the correct answer. Each week with our friends over at the Reptile Report, we're going to be highlighting a new exotic animal forum. This week, SnakeBytesTV Spotlight over at the Reptile Report is arachnoboreans. Go ahead and check it out at this URL or click the link in the description. Coming from a guy that's an arachnophobic for sure and has feared spiders most of his life, it really is something that I believe is a taught trait. I think that fear is something that we're not born with, but we learn. And probably at a young age, I probably had an experience that caused me to fear tarantulas and other spiders. Let's face it, even around Halloween time, all the creepy crawlies happen to be spiders and snakes, right? It's something that we learn over time. And I've been working very hard to get over that fear. And these beautiful animals, even like this rose-haired tarantula, look at how amazing it is. And again, I'm still a little bit afraid of this animal, but I tell you what, I'm getting over that fear. And we need to teach people how amazing these animals truly are. Even if we fear them, we can certainly get over our fears. Probably another thing that really draws people to tarantulas, of course, besides their beauty and just how cool they are, is really the ease of maintenance. The thing that's really neat is they don't need an external heat source, so you can keep them at room temperature. And although some species require a little more humidity, whereas others require a little less, all they really need is a fresh water dish and something that they can hide in, just like this example right here. And of course, tarantulas are carnivorous. They'll eat anything from birds to small mammals and even to insects. As a matter of fact, right now, let's feed a Goliath bird eater. What we have here is a Goliath bird-eating spider. It's the largest species with adults getting up to 12 inches. And we're gonna go ahead and feed her. And if you ask what's on the menu, it's gonna be these scrumptious little cockroaches. Now, how tarantulas eat is they will actually inject venom into their prey, and it actually helps digest, and then they suck it back up just like through a straw. So let's go ahead and see how this animal eats. This is gonna be really cool. Oh, look at that thing grab it. Certainly doesn't take long, does it? Wow. Oh, you can just hear it crunching, sticking those fangs in. Wow. Now that is an amazing predator right there. Now let's move on to breeding tarantulas. Typically they mature anywhere from 2 to 5 years of age, and how you can tell a male from a female is those two little front legs are called pedipalps. The males will get much larger. That means he's ready to start breeding. Now the process is going to start with him creating a web and depositing sperm into that web. He's then going to take those pedipalps and suck the sperm back up. Then he's on the search for a female. Once he finds her, he's going to use his legs to pound on the ground to entice her to start breeding. They're going to come together. He's going to cap the fangs of the female lift her up, and he's going to insert the sperm into her abdomen. Now I tell you what, I want to show you something really cool over here. It's an egg sac that was recently laid, and this is exactly how they lay their egg sacs. They're going to start by creating this web, and then they're going to make a little bowl in the bottom where they're essentially going to lay those eggs. Now when they're laid, it's really a soupy mixture with eggs in it. She's then going to pick them up and continue to rotate them over 2 to 4 weeks until they dry out into this harder egg sac. After that, you move them on to an incubator. Let's go check that out. All right, so what we have here is essentially a little tarantula incubator. All it is water and sphagnum moss with a nylon put over it so that you can suspend the egg sac. About 4 to 6 weeks after that female lays her eggs, the first stage is going to happen, which is called eggs with legs. Essentially, there's little tarantulas in the eggs and they're sticking their legs out, but they can't move at all. About a month later, you get to this stage, which is the first instar, which means they're little spiders that can move around, but they still have the same color as the egg. Now about 30 days from then, they're going to molt one more time. That's when they're going to end up coloring up and getting their fur on them and start eating. At that stage, you need to separate them out and they're ready for sale. Much like snakes, tarantulas need to molt, but the difference is tarantulas have an exoskeleton, so when they molt, it looks almost just like a tarantula. Now as babies, they're going to molt every 4 to 6 weeks, and as adults, they'll typically molt about once a year. We certainly have learned a lot about tarantulas. Now let's go ahead and just look at some really cool specimens. What we have here is a Brazilian giant white-kneed tarantula. Wow, what a beauty. What we have here is a tiger rump. You can certainly see where it gets its name from. This is a green bottle blue, and look at the iridescence on its body. Not all tarantulas have common names. This happens to be a Lasiodora kalugi, and what an amazingly beautiful animal. What we have here is a salmon pink bird-eating tarantula. It's the same family as the Lasiodora kalugi, but it happens to be the largest bodied tarantula. There's a lot of really amazing tarantulas here, but some of them really catch my eye. And this Malaysian earth tiger certainly is one of them. It moves really kind of creepy too, but what a cool animal. This is a Mexican red-kneed tarantula, and these guys have been in the hobby longer than any other tarantula, and this was the very tarantula that I used to see when I was a kid in pretty much every pet shop. But unfortunately now they're relatively endangered from over-collection. But I tell you what, it brings back a lot of memories as a kid. Most of them were terrifying. It's just really cool that I'm able to hold this animal now. It's such a beauty. I tell you what, I'm definitely finding a love for these guys. Now this is one amazing little tarantula. This is what they call an orange baboon tarantula, but then it started being called an OBT for short, and now most people call them orange bitey things, because you can certainly see they are full of energy and they are not happy at all. Did you see how quick that thing came up on me? Look at that. You don't want to be on the business end of that whatsoever. Whoa, that is wicked. Come on. What we have here is a Mysore ornamental. It's actually a tree spider, and in the industry they're known as pokies. And of course, this is something that you don't want to handle because it has one nasty bite. This is a Chilean dwarf red, and it's about an adult size, which might be the perfect thing for me rather than some of those monsters in here. Well, I tell you what, this has been an awesome time, and I certainly have a new appreciation for these tarantulas. I'm actually starting to dig them pretty well. I might even have to go home with one. I want to thank the guys at Michigan Arachnid Breeders. Make sure to check them out over at facebook.com/Michigan Arachnid Breeders. Till next week, we'll see what other creepy crawlers we can bring you guys. What was the very first spider that Brian ever handled? If you said A, huntsman, you were absolutely correct. Good job.
Alright guys, today Brian played with all sorts of spiders, and it's funny, you know, I used to be scared of spiders a long time ago, and now I keep a bunch at home. I love tarantulas. Brian's still working on getting over that fear. He's still pretty terrified of them, but it's coming along. I want to know, what fear do you have that you wish you could conquer, or have you already conquered it? Leave a comment below and let us know.
So there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. And if you fear spiders, this helped you out a little bit. As you can see, if I can get over my fear, anyone can. If you want to follow any of my animal adventures, make sure to hit me up over on Facebook and Twitter at SnakeBytesTV. Till next week, you've been watching Snake Bites. So I'm here at a I am freaking out right now.